She has also won the Moth Slam, and she's written for Slate, and she's a dear friend of mine. I'm so excited to have her here. Please welcome Amy Klein.
So I was having lunch at the sushi bar, and this woman that I didn't really know came over to me. And I think she knew me because I write the fertility diary for the New York Times. And Lisa is her name. She said to me, "What's your Hebrew name?" Now, as a formerly religious Jew, I knew where she was going with this. Boy, did I know what she wanted from me. And she confirmed my thoughts because she said, you know, I bake challah and I daven for women. Okay, translation for the rest of you. Every week when she bakes her bread for the Sabbath, she says prayers for people who are sick or infirm or people like me who were having trouble having a baby. And I guess she saw me eating raw fish, so she assumed that I wasn't pregnant. And she was right. I had been pregnant, but I wasn't anymore. I had just had my 4th miscarriage. And I just looked at her, and I wanted to get up and shake her and just say, don't you think God knows me by my English name? Don't you think if he wanted to find me and help me, he could? I mean, healers and psychics, I'd seen many, they could help me just over the phone. They didn't even need to see my face. They didn't really do anything, but still, that's how they worked. You know, like random strangers could find me on Google. Don't you think, I wanted to say to her, don't you think this omnipotent, omniscient being who created the world could know who I was without using my Hebrew name? It wasn't just the Hebrew name thing that bothered me. I didn't want her or anyone else praying for me. I just didn't want it. I grew up religious in Brooklyn, and I'd been praying for as long as I could remember. You know, when I woke up, I said a prayer thanking God for returning my soul to me. When I went to the bathroom, I thanked God for opening up my holes for me, which is kind of disgusting if you think about it. But, you know, we said prayers before food and after food. See, take that, you Christians. We say it before and after. And I even said a prayer before I went to sleep. My father must have taught it to me before I could talk because I didn't even remember learning it and I couldn't fall asleep without it. What did I think of all these prayers? I didn't really think much of it. I mean, it was like I was a kid. It was like everything I had to do. I had to wake up, go to school, take tests, do homework, go to sleep, have an early bedtime, and I had to say some prayers. By the time I was 25, I must have said millions of prayers. I didn't really pay attention most of the time to what they meant, but still, they were intertwined like DNA into my soul. So I started to leave religion when I was in my 20s, and it wasn't all at once. It wasn't like one day I woke up and I'm like, woohoo, let's have a pork sandwich. It was kind of like one year I was driving on the Sabbath, and the next year I was eating a cheeseburger. You know, it was like all the rabbis warn you, it's a slippery slope. Next thing you know, you'll be murdering someone. And I did stop praying daily, but sometimes the prayers would slip out, you know, like I couldn't help it. It just was natural. But, you know, when I woke up in the morning or before I went to sleep, and it was comforting to me still. What was not comforting to me was people praying for me. Now, I wasn't sick, I wasn't trying to have a baby yet, but I was single. I was single at 25, and I was single at 30, and I was single at 35. I guess by 35, I should have been grateful that they hadn't given up on me, that they still wanted to pray for me. You know, at weddings, brides would come over to me and ask me for my Hebrew name because on this special magical day, they would have God's ear. You know, the rest of the time, he couldn't give a shit about them, but... So as they would walk down the aisle, ensconced in a thick veil, flanked by their parents holding candles, they would recite this long list of names of their poor, desperate friends. What they should have probably been doing is like praying for themselves, because ostensibly they were virgins and their husbands-to-be were virgins, and they needed all the help they could get. But I digress. After the ceremony, they would come and give you things like good luck prayers, good luck tokens. They would give you a shard of the glass from under the chuppah. They would give you a slice of challah from the reception. I was like, what is with these Jews and their food, and how am I supposed to get married if I keep scarfing down this white bread? I hated it. I hated all the trinkets. I mean, I had enough shards to make like a whole ceramic wall and everything. But I just, and I should have told them, I don't need your prayers, I don't need your pity, because this is what it was to me. Like when people were praying for me, they were kind of just saying, you who lack health, who lack a husband, allow me to intercede on your behalf with the heavens. And I wanted to tell them, I don't need your help, but I just gave them a Hebrew name. It was easier that way. But that day at the sushi restaurant, I couldn't give Lisa, the challah baker, I couldn't give her what she wanted. I know she was trying to help. I mean, I know everybody was just trying to help me, and this is the only way religious people know how to help, is to offer to pray for you. But I wanted to say to her, like, don't you think after 3 years of trying to have a baby, I've tried this, like I've tried everything? I was really no longer religious at all, but I'd still gone to the rabbis. I even went to the ritual bath. And every time I took a shot, every time I had an egg extracted in IVF, every time I had an embryo put in me, I would say a prayer, like a hope, out to the heavens. Every time, like, I would wait those 2-week waits to see the little 2, pink lines, or wait for a baby's ultrasound, I would say a little prayer to God, and that didn't help. I know some people, like my husband, would say that God doesn't really exist, but I'd been indoctrinated and inculcated in the religion for so long that I couldn't really think that. I just believe that God just couldn't involve himself in those minute details of my life. And, maybe fertility just wasn't his thing. I don't really mean to bum you out here at this great ice cream party, and I know that's kind of a sad story, but it's a happy ending because I am expecting. After 3 years, 4 miscarriages, 9 rounds of IVF, and 10 doctors, I'm 7 months pregnant. So. And, I think it was the last doctor and his new round of meds and shots and his new diet that really worked. Because I was really at the lowest point in my life before this last embryo transfer. Now, what does it say about God? What does it say about faith? What does it say about religion? I don't know, and truthfully, I don't really care. I'm about to have a baby, and that's the only thing that mattered to me anyway. Thank you.
Yum's the word.